Welcome to the Three Things Podcast. I'm David Iglesias, Director of Wheaton Center for Faith, Politics, and Economics. You may be wondering why this podcast is called Three Things. You were probably taught by your parents, like I was, that it was impolite to talk to people about three things: religion, politics, and money. But what happens if your job is to talk about those three things? Well, join me for the next 25 minutes and let's find out. Well, it's good to be here. My name is David Iglesias. I'm the Center Director at the Wheaton Center for Faith, Politics, and Economics. And we are starting a podcast of significant people that have an affiliation with Wheaton College and with my center. Seated to my right is Dr. Richard Rung, who goes by Dick,
Right.
I understand. And Dr. Rung was one of my professors back in the 1970s. He taught political science and I'm sure some other courses.
And history.
And history. So here we are, 40 some odd years later, and I was informed just a few years ago that Dr. Rung was a DDay veteran. And as you know, June 6th, 1944 was 75 years ago. So I'm going to ask Dr. Rung about his remembrances of that fateful day that changed the course of not only Western history, but of world history. Dr. Rung, it's good to see you again, sir.
It's good to be here.
So, a little bit of background first. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Buffalo, New York.
And how old were you when you enlisted in the United States Navy?
I was drafted right out of high school.
So, 17, 18 years old?
18.
And where were you trained?
I was trained, my basic training was Sampson Naval Training Station in Geneva, New York.
Yes. And were you told what fleet you would be assigned to?
No, I had no idea. I had gone to a vocational high school.
I see.
And taken automobile mechanics. I didn't go to regular arts. So when the Navy found that out, they were getting ready for the, I didn't know this, they were getting ready for the attack on France by building landing craft.
Right.
Yeah. So when they saw that I had this background, what they decided is we ought to send this guy to Richmond, Virginia, to the U.S. Diesel Institute and get him ready for, they didn't tell me this, but get him ready for one of these landing craft. Interesting.
So what was your rating? What type of sailor were you?
When I first started out, I was a fireman first class.
Ah.
A fireman.
Okay.
And I ended up a second class motor machinist man.
I see.
Which ran engine room, yeah. Absolutely.
So I'm a retired Navy JAG captain. Most of the audience will know that, but for some of you who don't know that, it warms my Navy heart to talk to a fellow Navy veteran. So you've been trained, and then are you sent to England at that point?
Well, we had trained, the early training on the landing craft was in Chesapeake Bay. After that basic training, I was sent to Pier 92, New York.
I see.
To await overseas transportation. I crossed the Atlantic in the SS Robert Trimble, which was a Liberty ship.
I see.
And the Liberty ship had a 3-inch 50 gun on the bow and one on the stern.
Oh my.
So the Navy took over those spots on the Liberty. So I was the third loader on the bow gun. There was 130 ships in the convoy.
That's a lot of ships.
Yeah.
And was there any hostile submarine action in the area?
They didn't have. The only protection we had was a couple of sea-going tugs. And by the way, those tugs, I found out just a couple of weeks ago, were in the fleet because the blocks of cement that they were going to have as a wall off the beach, the British didn't have any tugs big enough to do it. So my assumption is those two tugs that came, with
Yes.
our convoy, eventually probably helped move the concrete abutments.
That's fascinating. So, when did you report to England then, as a young Navy sailor?
I got out. We stayed on the Liberty until the landing crafts had to be shipped in pieces.
I see.
On top of Liberty. So I must have been there 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, so this is 1944?
Yeah, and by the way, and both times, the blitz was on. The bombing was. The Germans were over every single night. And the first ones, you heard, they called them buzz bombs.
Yes.
They took off from the Netherlands with just enough gas to get where they wanted the bomb to fall. And after that, I experienced the rockets, the early rockets. And those rockets were the basis for a push to get to the shore in France, because London would disappear. They do, yeah.
Right.
And Van Braun, of course, after the war, was part of that.
He was one of our NASA leaders.
Right, yeah.
In fact, there was a great passage in Tom Wolfe's book, The Right Stuff, in which Werner von Braun says, "Our Germans are better than your Germans." He's talking about the Soviet Germans. So that's true. So when did you know that there was going to be a massive invasion of Europe?
Well, we knew that because of our training that we were going to invade somewhere, and probably in the continent. But I had no idea where the hit would come. Eventually, the skipper waited until almost the day before and said, "We're headed for France."
So you had very little notice, and all you knew was France, not where in France.
No. And besides that, they didn't want. The secret was that we didn't want the Germans to know anything.
Of course.
The people who know too much might say something. Well, I sent a lieutenant home because he mouthed off at a party one.
Yes.
And he said, we have to keep this a secret.
So tell me about the ship's complement. You mentioned earlier.
Okay, there are 3 seamen, a gunner's mate, which is a dear friend and was on this program with me in Washington. There was 3 motor mags, which was motor machinist mate.
Yes.
So, and then the skipper was a lieutenant, and there was Lieutenant J.G. was his assistant.
Any chief petty officers or no? So just seamen,
Seamen,
petty officers, and 2 officers.
And especially, they pick specialists.
Right.
You need a motor match because there's 3 engines running below deck with a screw up coming out for each of those. So yeah.
Okay.
But nothing, no chiefs.
I see. That's very interesting. So the ship was USS LCT 539.
Yeah.
Landing craft.
Yeah.
What was it? Flat keeled.
Yeah, flat bottom.
Okay.
No keel, and which was really bad in high surf because it shifted. Yeah.
Oh, yes, right. Because
the 540 was going in there alongside of us and got hit 6 times with 88s, and I tried to get off and hit a mine hanging on one of the upstairs.
Oh my! And the 88s were German artillery shots.
Oh, sure. Right? And the bunkers were at 10. Some of them were 10 feet thick of concrete. I visited 2 of them, D+2, and on the wall of one of them was this drawn and where to hit it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. That really brings it home.
And then, by the way, this was being built. I didn't know this for a long time. In 5 miles from my house, in a shipyard in the Niagara River, known as the Bison Shipyard, and I have a book, and it shows what they built, and there's a 539.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So it's June 6th. You're given the orders to
to get ready.
To get ready.
And the weather is atrocious.
Right.
So it's the 6th, and we started out at 3 in the morning because we're slow folks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're slow. But all of a sudden, the skipper said we have to go back in. And it's because I said, we're not going to try this with this kind of weather.
Mm-hmm.
How can we give it to the troops with high surf like this? So he said, it's reported, he said, we'll wait 24 hours. Well, we can't wait too long because there's a secret. We don't want to know we're going to do this.
That's right.
So the weatherman said, the weather will clear slightly tomorrow at such a time.
That's fascinating. So, were you scared when you left England?
No, because I didn't know. You know, by the way, if somebody had this, and when he said we're going,
yes,
he said, you know, I need a volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and then the volunteer is to have a rope tied around him, and when we drop the ramp, this person has to check the depth of the water.
Oh my!
We never sent it. He never said that. If you had done that, the German snipers would have shot you.
Sure. So what was your LCT craft taking? What was on it?
That big tractor with a
so it was a bulldozer?
Yeah. He was full of equipment to find the mines.
Oh, so it was it was from minesweeping.
Yeah.
I see.
It's a land minesweeping.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, D+2, we found the tractor, the cat, it was almost destroyed. And the guy that was operating, the only thing that was on the seat was his torso.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
So the rest of his body was missing.
His body somehow, well, he probably ran into a lot of, 88s. Well, I'll show you.
Sure.
When we dropped the ramp, the first to crack out of the box, the Germans waited.
Yes.
If they get the ramp down and then try to get off, we'll pulverize it. So that's when the first 88 hit, went right to the skipper's quarters and lodged in a locker, and it was armor piercing.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been a lower shot, something that put a hole where the water went.
Right.
Yeah.
What did it sound like as you're getting close to France and you know your job is to get on the beach?
The noise of the guns, especially the big, the capital ships of the navies, the French and the Brandenburg. You could hear the shells go, shoot! Because they have 14 and 16-inch shells, and the smoke was everywhere. It was indescribable.
It sounds like it's hard. It'd be hard to describe that. Now, were you a believer in Christ at this point in your life?
That's right.
And were you praying, or I mean, what were you thinking?
I said, if you help me make this, I'll do what you want me to do. Yes. But I think that that day has changed my whole life.
Tell me more about that. How has that changed your life?
Because I realized, for instance, how bad and how stupid we are to do this kind of thing. Here are all these Americans and Germans fighting each other. I mean, we lost 9,000 men in the invasion. Right. A report from the beach to the command ship, one guy, I guess he was a commander, said, "We're being slaughtered like hogs in here."
Oh boy.
That's what he said.
That's terrible.
Well, if you want to know what happened, the latest book is The Dead and Those Who Are About to Die.
Who wrote that book?
It's right back there. I'll show you.
Okay, we'll take a look at that after the interview.
What I was going to say? Oh, when it was all over, I realized that all this destruction of equipment and all these deaths of a human element, and now we are allied with the Germans after World War II.
Yes.
All the Union. And it's the same, the Russians took a terrible toll on their Eastern Front.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the Russians lost more than we did.
That's right. Well, not only that, but the Russians put pressure on us to invade, to take the tension off of their front. Mm-hmm. You know, when are you gonna open a second front against the Germans? You know, in the West, and part of it, the reason for the attack when it came, I think, was Russian pressure. When are you going to help us?
So, did you make it on the shore that first day on June 6th, 1944?
It took us. What saved, I think, the beach was the Air Force was supposed to bomb the bunkers from here.
Yes.
You know, and they dropped it. To my report, they dropped the bombs 2 miles inland. So when we got there, the bunkers were intact.
They were operational.
Yeah, they're operational. Right. So
which beach was it? I don't think I've asked you that.
Fox Red.
Okay, and where is that in relation to Utah and Omaha?
Well,
and
Utah,
Sword, and the others.
Fox Red is the center. Utah's this way. You know the one they tried to find the guns, big guns on a knoll. Point to Hawk.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
That was to the right, and so our beach was Fox Red. Utah was up here, but our beach was a murderous beach because they had created a crossfire for, and
so you were sitting ducks in
yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, when you figure that the 540 was not too far away from us, and I have a letter from the signalman of the 540. He survived, but he said in the letter he said, you know, and the 539 next to us, we're not making out any better than we are. But we didn't take 88 hits immediately.
Yes.
And we didn't lose a skipper. My station was, I couldn't go in the engine room unless the skipper ordered me. And he's on a bridge, and I'm down here at the hatch where you get down below.
Yes.
And he said, Dick, I don't want you to go to the engine room unless I order you to do. He said, because if we hit a mine,
right,
you're down there,
it's all over.
That's up.
So what exactly was your job as you're getting ready to land on the beach?
My job was to make sure if the engines were doing okay, you know. We had 3 diesels going. My job was if we lose one, if something goes wrong, right, I'm responsible.
So you're to keep the engines running.
That's right. My job was to make sure, because you lose your engines, you're
you're a dead duck.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time until you get sunk.
Sure.
So
I never had to go down.
Good.
The engines, but another motor mech, one of my colleagues, years later told me he was on the bridge with the skipper controlling the engines from up there.
I see.
And he said, when we hit the beach, and the skipper said, stop the engines. He said, I didn't stop the middle screw. He said, I was just so afraid we were going to get stuck.
Get stuck?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, you know, the middle screw is going like this, and so, but I don't know if the skipper ever knew that.
So did the fore part of the landing craft open up then?
Yeah. It's this big ramp, and you drop at the ramp. The equipment to drop it is in a locker on starboard and the port. If this gets hit, it had an engine. You could crank it up in the other.
I see. So approximately what time did you actually land on the beach? Do you have any memory?
The first one, we were due at 6:30.
And this is 06:30,
yeah.
so early in the morning.
Yeah. We tried.
Mm-hmm.
But what saved the beach is that 2 American destroyers were called in. They had 5-inch
guns.
They got the bunkers. That's what we hope on the aircraft could we get. But I've never seen this. They came in and they here's a beach and here's their 5s. They were afraid if they stayed too long.
Of course.
Their screws were churning the sand.
Yes.
And if the big guns be on the beach got their guns trained correctly, we'd lose the destroyers. So they stayed. But the one is called the Langford. The Langford, I think that deserves a lot of credit.
Let me ask you something. Are you aware of any other Wheaton alumni or Wheaton faculty who were at DDay?
No.
You're the only one that I'm aware of. That's really remarkable.
We're telling about the gunner's mate that was in the standing by the gun. By the way, we never even used our guns,
right?
Because the skipper said, "Look at the men. They're American,
right?
They're floating in the water." So we secured him, and he's been a friend for 75 years. He was at Washington with me, and I hadn't seen him for that.
That's amazing. So by the time you landed at about 6:30 a.m., there were already soldiers on the beach and in the water dead. Is that right?
Oh, and we went by a truck, and this gunner's mate, there was a plastic bag on top, and the only thing that was above water was about that much. And otherwise, it was submerged. We went by and he grabbed it. It's a brand new M1. The guy left his, he had the drowner left his gun up on the top of the cab.
And the M1 for our listeners was the combat issued rifle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Wow. So, do you think we're running close to having to shut this down, Dick? But do you think a lot about that day?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I've been asked that a lot. Omaha was 75 years ago, right?
Yes.
Some days it's yesterday.
Yes.
Yes. There are episodes in life that have a multiplier effect.
Yes.
And this has a multiplier effect. My gunner's mate, that's a dear friend, and we were together in Washington. He will not go see Saving Private Ryan. He will not go see. He said that day that idiot hit the infantry in the head, I was looking down, and he said his brain just looked like him. And he's okay, but he said, I don't.
Yeah.
That would be my call. That you never really, I think, get over this. I'm okay, but I'm saying something could happen tomorrow that reminded me.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was one of those red letter days in your life.
Right.
I understand that. Well, Dick and Dottie, thank you for allowing me a few minutes to talk about this very important day in world history.
You've been listening to a podcast from the Wheaton Center for Faith, Politics, and Economics. You can find us at wheaton.edu/